Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. My last Constellation 0 Heizou showcase, I said I would showcase him at Constellation 6, so we're going to do this a little bit differently than I usually do, which is extremely scripted stuff. And we're going to do this, I guess, edited after, me live recording it. I'll be commentating as I'm actually playing instead of commentating after the fact. What is the goal of this video? It is to showcase to you guys a hyper carry Heizou. For this build, I'm going to be using the Widsith. Here you can see my stats, 73% crit rate, 206.9% crit damage. So pretty decent stats, I'd say. Now my Widsith is at Refinement 5, and I know that not even close to everyone has a Refinement 5 Widsith. However, quite a few of you guys do actually have a Refinement 5 Widsith, which when I did a poll back in the day, here you guys can see it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but quite a few guys do have a Refinement 5 Widsith. Now, as for the artifacts, I'm using the 2-piece gliders, 2-piece Shimenawas. The goal is to maximize Heizou's damage, and the whole point is to get him to do as much damage as possible. So with these artifacts, my Heizou is at around 80% damage potential in comparison to a triple crowned Heizou. Now, of course, my Heizou is not triple crowned, but speaking of which, as I mentioned, he is also at Constellation 6. So the last video really showcased him at Constellation 0. This one, I'm going to showcase him at Constellation 6. And I think this video is still valuable even for kind of like low budget or free to play players, because a lot of you guys will have the Widsith with certain refinements. A lot of you guys will be able to farm up talents, obviously, but a lot of you guys will eventually be able to get a high Constellation Heizou if you really do want to main him, or if you really do plan to kind of target him depending on what banners he's on, or just like you might get him on accident. So we're going to see just how good he can be with kind of a free to play, I wouldn't say friendly, but accessible in the long term, very long term with a lot of planning. Then I will also demonstrate him at whale level. So with potentially 5-star weapons, I may stick with the Widsith, because the 5-star catalysts are all kind of have a lot of issues, to say the least, but I will gear up my supports better. Now Bennett is just Festering Desire Bennett with this stuff. Hopefully you guys have lost a 50-50 to get a Mona. Now my Mona is at Constellation 6, but it doesn't matter too much except for the 15% crit rate, which helps a bit with consistency. Yeah, you guys will be able to crit fish as well to make up for that 15% crit rate. Now artifacts wise, she's using the Tenacity of the Millelith weapon, no surprise, Sterling Tales of Dragon Slayers, and her talents are whatever. She's not here to do damage, she's here to amplify Heizou's damage. And finally we have Zhongli. Outside of Mona and Zhongli and Bennett, I wouldn't really consider Constellation 4 Jean to be kind of free to play accessible, but we will be swapping Zhongli for Constellation 4 Jean after this initial showcase with this, I guess, kind of free to play quote unquote accessible team. We're gonna get started as we always do by beating up on our favorite volunteer, who other than everyone's favorite salad, the Cryo Regiswine. And hopefully we're gonna crit, and hopefully the Widsith cooldown is back. You guys would be surprised at just like how god-awfully long the Widsith cooldown is, but hey, okay. Let's go and see how this Heizou does, with an element of skill. If he's able to one-shot our poor plant friend properly. Now I'm gonna use Zhongli's Hold D real quick. And while talking, I'm certainly a little bit more distracted than I guess usual. Okay, 159,935 damage. Now that's a pretty casual... I missed which Widsith buff it was. Yeah, that's pretty decent, right? Considering this is a 4-star character with, honestly, a free-to-play accessible build. I would describe this as a free-to-play eventually build. I think that's pretty appropriate for what this is. So let's fill up our energy for our team here. So I'm gonna wait just a little bit to make sure the Widsith buff is back. Now let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully we can single rotation the Primoju Bishop with this, but I'm actually not entirely sure that we can. Only one way to find out though, am I right? So, oh, that's the third buff on the... Oh wow, okay, so we got the third buff last time too, because it did the exact same amount of damage. I'm actually going to redo this to get a different buff on the Widsith because I do actually want to see how much damage he does with either the first or second buff. Ideally, you get the second buff. This is actually why the Widsith is one of my least favorite personal weapons, even though it is good and it's good for nuking. But yeah, it's just got a lot of problems. Let's go ahead and try this again. Okay, we got the second buff this time. 226,000 damage. Not bad at all if I do say so myself. Now, one problem though, was hoping for the Primo Juvishap to blow itself up. There we go. Oh, that one didn't crit. That's unfortunate. But okay, so with this kind of more standard build, right? This is a normal crit ratio as well as no food and none of that stuff. Yeah, this build unfortunately isn't able to one cycle the Primo Juvishap. You might be able to, but I'm not going to try too hard with that because we've still got a lot of stuff to go through. Let's actually do just a couple of ley lines to see how this team feels for kind of a general overworld use, right? Is it just like, I don't know, really annoying to use, or is it kind of enjoyable? Let's go ahead and give it a try. You know, typical overworld stuff. Poor, not even sure if Zhongli actually got hit by the explosion there, but okay. Ooh, that's very satisfying. Now, once his like elemental skill and stuff are down, it does feel pretty bad, but once it's up, oh man, he feels like, you know, Saitama from One Punch Man, just like one punching everything like that. That is pretty sick. Now, I guess we can try see how much damage my Zhongli actually does. Okay, yeah, he's built enough to deal a good amount. Nice. Just punched straight through that shield and destroyed our poor miniature friend there. Now, I also wanted to, I guess, just talk a little bit about Heizou and stuff. I really don't think his constellations are like that exceptional. Like, they're good, right? They're pretty decent. But they are a far cry from like, you know, even some of the other 4-star constellations, honestly. And, oh wow, that's actually really convenient. Did you guys see that? It pulled in the stuff, and the Mirror Maiden's way over there. That's okay. There's this guy. So at least we can punch him in the face and get a very nice 90,000 damage out of him. And so even without like all his buffs up and stuff, you know, he's still popping 60k damage numbers here and there. I do feel like, obviously, in comparison to a team with, you know, sub DPSs like, I don't know, Xiangling, for example, or even a Taser team, this team does feel probably not as good as that. But hey, I mean, you know, we're talking about a hyper carry Heizou here, right? This is, and for it to already be performing and feeling, you know, pretty powerful, all things considered, is very nice. Look at that. Look at that. Bust that shield, and then that poor little guy is just history. So I think I'm pretty happy with this more general build showcase. We've already taken up a pretty good amount of time with this. Let's go ahead and try to kind of push him to his limits, in the sense of like, hey, we're going to give Bennett the highest attack buff that he can have. We're going to give, let's see, we're going to switch out Zhongli for a Constellation 4 Jean. And why don't we actually switch Heizou over to a crit fish build, and we're going to slap on some food too, because, you know, we are here for some big numbers. We're not here to just like tickle our enemies to death. So we are at a paltry 35.7% crit rate. Don't try this at home, kids, or I guess you have nothing to lose by trying this at home, so go ahead and try this at home. We're gonna stop by the Regisfine, and we are also going to eat some food. I know that a lot of you guys are allergic to food. Me personally, I do like food a lot, and we're gonna eat, let's see, The Adeptus Temptation, I am pretty tempted to use a double crit, crit rate, crit damage food to have a little bit more consistency with this because, yeah, not critting is an absolute pain. But let's go ahead and see if our poor Regisfine friend, how he takes this. Now, and Philip Bennett, of course, no surprise there. Okay, so let's just go ahead, do it this way. Oh, okay, yeah, so I forgot that Jean actually does damage. Let's go ahead and take this to the Primo Geovishap instead because, yeah, I just had to swap Heizou on there and tap that E as fast as possible. We have another volunteer here, and I'm gonna wait a little bit for all the buffs again, as usual. This is my favorite part about the Widsith as a weapon. You get to wait a nice old 30 seconds. Go make a sandwich and eat it. Maybe take a nap, walk the dog, and there we go. I think the Widsith should be back now. So let's go ahead and try it out on our Primo Geovishap friend. So I do have the Freedom Sword on Jean. Wow. All right. Not bad. That was a easy 1-2 punch. Now, unfortunately, he failed to live up to the One Punch Man legacy. However, a quick 1-2 buckaroo and our Primo Geovishap friend is down. So here I've got a video clip from way earlier that I did for this video, and it is a nuke showcase with the Refinement 5 Kagura's Verity for Heizou. Now I'm not going to try this live because this is a huge pain to actually pull off, but we're going to see how much you can do. Now I use Aika here for Constellation 4, 30% defense red, Mona of course, and Heizou pops on. 565,000 damage now, but this should give you guys a rough idea of what kind of, this is really like a whale Heizou, what a whale Heizou can accomplish. Is it especially good for a 4-star character? It's pretty good, I think like some other characters like Xingqiu, they can do like a 2 million damage nuke and things like that. So considering he's a 4-star Animo character, like that's pretty solid. Next, I'm gonna try, I guess, to do an Abyss 12 run with this guy. Maybe I'll do a full speed run, but speed runs take like 1 to 2 hours, and this video is not about, it's not going to take 1 to 2 hours of filming and showcasing, right? But hey, maybe we're going to get some good clips out of it. I'm going to switch Heizou over to a different build. I do want consistency because there are a lot of monsters there. So I think I'm actually going to go with the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds. We're going to go for kind of a balanced build that I don't have to crit fish too much with. And we're going to use basically the previous set of artifacts, but I think we can have a little bit more, 1 or 2 pieces with more crit damage on them. 80%, so plus 16, 96% crit rate. I think it's manageable. Now you would want lower crit rates to further push your time, but I've only got so much time in the day. So we're going to gear up Xiangling as well as Kazuha. I will be back after some magical editing. We are back, and I've also geared up my second team for good measure because we're going to be taking the Heizou team through the first half of Abyss 12. Ooh, nice. We even got a crit card. I'm going to see if Heizou can wipe out the first wave of Whopper Flowers on his own without any help from his teammates. So let's go ahead and try this out. Okay. So that did a pretty sad amount of damage, sadly. Let's go ahead and try it again. Alright, so he is shy of one-shotting the first wave, and this is kind of what I was saying, right? You want to trade that with even more damage, so we'll change our rotation a bit.
2,000 years later.
Okay, try number... first try, guys. First try. Alright, that's pretty sick. You know what? I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy with that because of that sick punch against that second wave of Whopper Flowers. And, you know, he actually pulled his own weight against the whatchamacallits too, the Geovishaps as well. Okay, so if we don't have Bennett's Burst here, we may as well just call this run quits. We don't. Now, I'm not surprised because I was very energy negligent in the last run. But let's just go ahead and do each chamber with full energy just to kind of have an idea of what Heizou can contribute to each scenario. So I will see you guys once I fill up my energy and go back to 12-2-1. And we now have full energy. So the typical opening for this is a Bennett Burst into Kazuha Hold E into Kazuha Burst, I think. Now, of course, you know, Kazuha does so much of the heavy lifting here. That's just like, it's just crazy. Wow, I mean, that chamber was completely vaporized. No thanks particularly to Heizou, I will admit. I think that's mostly just Kazuha. Okay, we are here to murder two little baby Geovishaps. I think you guys kind of get the idea. I'm happy with that. A nice 148k punch to end off our quick little Abyss 12 foray. Now, was that even a particularly good Abyss 12 run? In my opinion, no, it wasn't. I spent about 20 minutes doing it and, you know, pretty disappointing results. But hey, you know, this Abyss was clearly designed for Bennett Kazuha. As you can see in 12-2-1, they just completely annihilated it, and that's all you really need to have a very comfortable 12-2-1. Now, I did feel like Heizou did pull his weight in 12-1-1, which was pretty satisfying. Anyway, it was cool to see him, you know, one punch, or I guess two punch the Primo Geovishap, which was pretty awesome. He did a pretty impressive 565,000 damage nuke against the Perpetual Mechanical Ray, but that was with a Refinement 5 Kagura's Verity, as well as, you know, obviously with 3 stacks, and it being a pretty annoying nuke to pull off. Yeah, I had a ton of fun using this character. Hopefully the 2 different segments helped. If you guys enjoyed this format of video, let me know. You know, I was kind of inspired by Moga's videos actually when he does his like God mode showcases. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call this one yet, but I do want to call it God mode because it's such a good name, but I'm not gonna rip off of his naming of his videos there because, you know, that's kind of his thing. So, all right. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.